Hey everyone, Bob Murnaghan here. This is a continuation of a series of lessons I've been doing on minor to major in the blues, and we're getting a little more involved here. We started out, I just wanted to show you a simple way to do it, and that was simply to target the third of the one chord. Now we're kind of evolving, and if you recall from yesterday, we talked about the G7 arpeggio, which consists of G, B, D, F, G, B, D, F, G. We talked about how that relates to the minor pentatonic scale and the importance of chord tones. And I demoed just briefly the use of that G7 arpeggio over the backing track. Now today, again, I want to expand it just a little bit more. I want to give you another option here. Now what if we were to add what would consider to be the ninth tone of the scale, or the second tone of the scale, into this arpeggio, make it into a G9 instead of a G7 chord. So we're going to add an A in, basically, is what we're doing. So instead of going G straight to the B, we're going to go G, A, B. So there's the ninth right there, the second or the ninth of the scale. G, A, B, D. Here's F, now here's G. Now we're going to put an A in right here, and then here's the B again, and here's the D, F, G, A, and if I want to stretch out, I can grab this B up here. Now, there's two ways to think about what I just played here. The first one is we can think of it as that G7 arpeggio that we played yesterday, right? Which is simply adding the ninth tone in right here. Or, this actually has a name, and I first learned this from listening to the music of John Scofield and hearing him talk about it, and later on I heard Robben Ford talking about it. This is a scale known as the dominant pentatonic. So we got G, A, so that's third fret to the fifth fret here on the sixth string. And then we've got B, which is the third, and D is the fifth. That's second fret to the fifth fret on the fifth string. And then we got F, which is our flat 7, G, so that's third fret to the fifth fret on the fourth string. Here's our A again, which is the second. And here's our B, which is the third, so that's second fret, fourth fret on the third string. And then I'm going to do a little fingering shift here to make it easier. I've got D to F here, which is the fifth, and the flat 7 again. Third fret to sixth fret on the second string, and I've got G to A, which is the first note and the second note. And again, if I want to reach up here and grab the B, I can do that. So that's third fret, fifth fret. So now, look, let's compare this just briefly also to the major pentatonic scale. So this is another way to maybe think about how to get to these notes. It's a major pentatonic scale. There's the major pentatonic scale, right? It would have the E, it would have the sixth. Play without the missed note there. What you're doing is replacing the sixth with the flat 7. So instead of playing the E, you play the F. There it is with a stretch. So you can maybe see a little more clearly that I'm replacing the E with the F here. Same thing coming back down. Now, I mentioned way back in video 1 when we first started this whole thing that a common way to teach going from minor to major in the blues is to tell people switch to the major pentatonic and then play that, and then you can switch back and forth between the major pentatonic and the minor pentatonic. And I mentioned that the major pentatonic sounds a little too happy or a little too country for my ear, and maybe it doesn't for you. If it doesn't, that's fine, and there's certainly nothing wrong with it. I'm not knocking it. In fact, I probably do it myself sometimes. But that flat 7 in there, it retains a little bit more of that dominant flavor of the chord. It's a little bit darker sounding, and to me it fits a little better in the blues. So what I want you to do today is learn this fingering for the dominant pentatonic scale, and then tomorrow we're going to compare the dominant pentatonic scale to the major pentatonic scale on the backing track, so you can hear the difference in those two scales. And it does make the playing a little more complicated than what we started out this series with, which is simply to target the B to get to major. But you know, it does give you the added variety of getting a few more notes in there. So one more time, that fingering for you. It's 3rd fret to the 5th fret on the 6th string, 2nd to the 5th on the 5th string, 3rd to the 5th on the 4th string, 2nd to the 4th on the 3rd string, and then we're going to shift up a fret here, 3rd to the 6th on the 2nd string, and then 3rd to the 5th, and then out to the 7th if you want on the 1st string. So it's a perfect match against that G7 chord. Two ways to think about it: either as the G7 arpeggio that we discussed yesterday with the 9th added in, or if you compare it to the major pentatonic scale, we're simply replacing the 6th with the flat 7. So two ways to think about getting to this dominant pentatonic scale. Work on the fingering for that, and we'll be back with some application tomorrow. Until then, practice, and I'll see you then.